Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today I'm going to be comparing three different guns, one from each faction. I've picked carbines, which are used with the engineer class and the light assault class, and I've picked some of the most popular and some of the better ones for close quarter combat, and we'll be comparing them and deciding which one is the best. All three guns have in-video links, so if you want to skip ahead to a gun that you're interested in, feel free to click on those links. Let's start off with the new conglomerate's GD-7F carbine. This one shoots extremely fast at 845 rounds per minute, does a maximum of 143 damage. This is sort of breaking away from the standard new conglomerate gun, which is hard hitting and slow firing. In fact, this seems to be much more like a Terran Republic weapon, and it's probably why so many people enjoy it, because frankly slow firing weapons are very difficult to use and ultimately favor longer range gameplay. The recoil has a 0.3 pull vertical and to the left. That means if I don't compensate for the recoil, it will pull up and to the left. This is a pretty easy recoil to manage if you're used to managing gun recoil, and it's perfectly adequate for medium and close range distances. Long range you might have a little bit more trouble keeping your bullets on target. It has a short reload of 2.7 seconds and a long reload of 3 seconds. Short reload just means that there's at least one bullet still left in the chamber, so you don't have to rechamber around when you reload a new magazine. This shaves a little bit of time off of the reload process. It's not a really big difference, you know, 0.3 of a second between short and long reloads. That's actually really small compared to most weapons. Now overall, this has the longest reload out of any of the new conglomerate carbines, which is unfortunate because it's also one of the more close quarter geared carbines, which is going to make that reload time all the more difficult to use. Kind of wish that game designers would give guns that are meant to be used at longer ranges longer reload times, and the close quarter guns faster reloads, because that's when you're going to need those reload times, and that's when they're going to really count. This gun has a first shot recoil multiplier of 2. This means that if you're firing a volley of shots, the first shot is going to recoil a little bit more than the follow-up shots. Basically, you're just going to have to recoil compensate a tiny bit more after the first shot. This really isn't a big deal, and in fact 2 is definitely on the lower side, and it's pretty easy to compensate for. The cone of fire accuracy for this weapon while standing is 0.1. And the hip fire is 1.5. This is pretty standard for carbines that are geared at close quarter combat. Some of the longer range intended carbines have a aiming down sight accuracy of 0.03. This will prevent the carbine from functioning really well at long range, but in close quarters it's a real powerhouse. But how does it stack up against the other factions' good close quarter carbines? Moving along, we have the Terran Republic's LC2 Lynx. This gun also shoots at 143 damage per shot and 800 rounds per minute. 45 rounds per minute slower than the previous weapon, but 800 is still more than enough to deal with most foes. It has a recoil pull of 0.3 to vertical and to the right, again very easy to compensate for. It has a longer reload time of 2.8 seconds for the short reload and 3.5 seconds for the long reload, considerably more than the GD-7F. However, this gun also has 10 more rounds per magazine for a total of 40 rounds in a mag. In fact, all the Terran Republic carbines have a magazine of 40 rounds, and they also have an ammo pool of 200 compared to the new conglomerates and Van Nuys of 150. Now, if you take a look at the gun stats for TR carbines and assault rifles, it's pretty clear that the developers try to give them long reload times to compensate for the fact that they have 40 shots in a magazine. In my opinion, this doesn't even come close to balancing out the guns, and that 10 extra bullets in a magazine is a huge advantage compared to other factions. So what if it takes a second longer or half a second longer to reload the TR gun? I don't have to reload it as frequently because after I drop my first guy, I know I have more than enough ammo to deal with anybody else running around that corner, so I can sort of sit and wait and really find a good comfortable spot to reload my weapon rather than trying to rush reload in the middle of combat like I do with all the other faction weapons. What's more is that having 40 rounds in a magazine means I'm going to be hitting that short reload time much more frequently. Since the short reload time isn't really that much longer than the other factions for some of their higher, faster firing weapons, this means that I'm going to be getting not much of a penalty at all. If I do end up chewing through all 40 rounds, then sure, I'll have to hit that long reload. But the fact is, I'm going to be hitting the long reload with 30 round magazine weapons much more frequently than I will with 40 round magazines. The LC2 Lynx also has a 2x first shot recoil multiplier, again very easy to compensate for. It also has an aiming down sight accuracy of 0.1 and a hip fire of 1.5. Now something that wasn't listed in the stats that I displayed above is the movement speed multiplier when aiming down sights. Most guns have a 0.5 movement speed multiplier. That means that your walking around speed is going to be cut in half when you aim down sights with a gun. So if you aim down the sights to try to peek around a corner, you're going to be moving at half of your normal walking speed. This gun, however, has a movement speed multiplier of 0.75. That means you can actually run around faster while aiming down sights. This is absolutely awesome for close quarter combat. Just allows you to get around faster, react quicker, and just peek corners faster. Corner peeking is very common. You aim down sights, peek around a corner, you can now do it faster. Your opponents will have quite as much time to react to you. Ultimately, I found the LC2 Lynx to be absolutely brutal. This gun is just a beast. The high capacity magazine and the incredible accuracy of this weapon just make it a complete powerhouse for medium range and close quarter engagements. Let's see if the Vanu's weapon can stack up to this one. For the Vanu, we have my most frequently used weapon, that is the VX6-7. This thing is just a beast. I love it for close quarter combat. It does the same maximum damage as the two previous carbines we talked about, except its minimum damage at 115 meters there is 100. The other carbines actually dropped off to 112, which I didn't really talk about, but Vanu weapons in general do a little bit less damage at range. Fortunately, long-range engagements with carbines isn't that big a deal. Most of these weapons are designed for medium to close quarters, and this gun is only going to be doing less damage beyond 60 meters compared to the other factions. It has the same recoil pattern and aiming down sight accuracy as the LC2 Lynx, and pretty much the GD-7F, although the GD-7F pulls to the left instead of the right. But one cool thing about this gun is that it has a very fast reload time, 2.1 seconds. Not the top of the charts, but for a very fast firing carbine, this is really nice to see, and it allows you to just get a full mag back in the gun in no time at all. The other two carbines had a first shot multiplier of 2. This one has a first shot multiplier of 3. Basically what that means is your first shot is going to recoil 3 times as much as the follow-up shots after that. Again, this isn't a huge difference if you're comfortable with controlling recoil, but for those of you who aren't too comfortable with it, it might be a little bit much, a little bit tricky to get used to, but I promise you it will be worth it if you can master the recoil on this gun. Now the other two carbines had a hipfire accuracy of 1.5. This one has a hipfire accuracy of 1.25, making it one of the more accurate hipfire weapons in the game. If you put a laser pointer on here, or even an advanced laser pointer, you can really get some amazing hipfire accuracy and down some people in close quarter combat without even needing to aim down the sights. Having tested out a lot of different faction carbines, I do think that the 3 that I've picked here are my favorite overall for that close quarter to medium range engagement distance, the perfect engagement distance for a light assault class. Now sadly, I would have to say that the GD-7F is probably my least favorite. The new conglomerate don't have a lot of good carbines to choose from, and although I think the GD-7F is their best carbine, its reload speed is just kind of unforgivable. It's got a 30 round magazine which it absolutely tears through in no time at all, and then you're stuck with a very long reload time of 2.7 or 3 seconds. In second place, we have the VX6-7, which has excellent hipfire and an extremely fast reload time. This basically allows you to play with the gun just in a very quick, very fast playstyle. You can get in close quarters, reload fast, not have to think too much about the weapon. And in first place, we have the LC2 Lynx for the Terran Republic. This gun simply is the best because it has a 40 round magazine and an ammo pool of 200 compared to the other two factions' 150. It can dish out just as much damage as the VX6-7, and it has just as good of accuracy while aiming down sights, not to mention faster movement speed. Frankly, I think the LC2 Lynx and the other Terran Republic carbines are a little bit imbalanced. I don't think 40 round magazines should necessarily be a standard options on TR weapons. and that they should be revisited because it's a very difficult thing to balance, and just upping a reload time on these guns isn't necessarily going to do the trick. So that pretty much wraps it up for this weapon comparison video. Let me know how you guys liked it in the comments. Remember to leave me a like if you did enjoy it, and also let me know what kind of guns you'd like me to cover next. Do you want me to look at assault rifles, light machine guns, sniper rifles? It could be anything. So again, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.